Title: I got bullied for being a mudblood by the blood purist in Slytherin, so I decided to break their whole house. My name is Ethan White. The day my Hogwarts acceptance letter arrived was a moment I'll never forget. It was the year of 1983, in the middle of April. I was sitting at our worn-out kitchen table, surrounded by my family, when an owl flew in through the open window. It dropped a letter onto my plate, sealed with a strange wax seal bearing the Hogwarts crest, surprising all of us. I carefully opened the letter, my heart racing with excitement and disbelief as I struggled to make sense of the unfamiliar words on the parchment. The letter told me I was a wizard and that I had been accepted to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. It was a revelation that turned my world upside down. Some days later, I met the school teacher, a certain Professor Flitwick, a small little man. He took my parents and I to Diagon Alley, an amazing place I'd never thought I would ever see in my life. Being a wizard sounded very exciting to me at the time. In the days leading up to September 1st, I worked tirelessly to decipher the magical books I had hastily purchased in Diagon Alley. I knew I wasn't a genius, but I made up for it with sheer determination and hard work. I pored over every page, trying to absorb as much knowledge as possible before the start of term. My parents, although initially bewildered by the sudden turn of events, supported me in their own way. They gone with me to purchase additional school supplies and listened patiently as I stumbled through explanations of spells and potions. On the day of departure, I stood nervously on platform 9 3/4 at King's Cross Station, clutching my wand tightly in my hand. The Hogwarts Express loomed before me, filled with bustling students and chatter. I boarded the train, my mind racing with a mix of excitement and apprehension. The journey to Hogwarts was a blur of introductions and nervous conversations with other first-year students. I met fellow Muggle-borns like myself and students from magical families, all of us sharing a sense of wonder and curiosity about the magical world we were about to enter. I also met some people, who after asking my name, looked at me strangely. It felt very rude and made me uneasy. As we arrived at Hogsmeade Station and made our way to the boats that would take us across the Black Lake, I couldn't help but feel overwhelmed by the grandeur of Hogwarts Castle. The sorting ceremony awaited us, where we would be sorted into one of the 4 houses. When my turn came, I approached the sorting hat with a mixture of nerves and determination. I knew that despite my lack of magical knowledge, I had always worked hard to help anyone in need. As the hat was placed on my head, it whispered words of wisdom and insight, acknowledging my dedication and perseverance. Asking it to put me in Gryffindor, the house of our legendary headmaster, the hat denied me, telling that while I was courageous, my qualities lay elsewhere. Seemingly stuck between either putting me in the Hufflepuff house or in the Snake house, it finally told me that it would be glorious to see me liberate my full potential in the Snake Den. Seeing how the Slytherin members weren't looking kindly at me, I begged him not to put me there. Finally, it called out, Hufflepuff. The cheers and applause from the Hufflepuff table filled me with a sense of belonging and relief. I had found my place at Hogwarts, in the house known for loyalty and hard work. And so, my journey as a Hufflepuff began, ready to embrace the magical adventures and challenges that lay ahead. I was excited to explore the world. Or so I thought at the time. School was hell. The shadow of the recent Voldemort era loomed heavily over Hogwarts, casting a dark and palpable tension that colored every interaction within the castle walls. It was in this charged atmosphere that my first encounter with bullying occurred, leaving a bitter taste of discrimination and prejudice that tainted my initial excitement for magical education. The whispers and sneers began subtly, as if testing the waters of hostility. I could feel the eyes of pureblood students lingering on me with thinly veiled disdain, their glances loaded with silent judgment. At first, I tried to dismiss it as mere curiosity or misunderstanding, but it soon became evident that I was being singled out for my Muggle-born heritage. It started with derogatory remarks muttered under their breaths as I passed by in the corridors, words that cut deeper than any curse. Mudblood. The word made me feel so dirty, as if denying my whole existence as trash. The taunts escalated, finding their way into every aspect of my Hogwarts experience. My textbooks were defaced with crude drawings and insulting messages, my belongings mysteriously vanished or were tampered with, and hexes and jinx were cast upon me when I least expected it, leaving me in humiliating and sometimes dangerous situations. No one did anything, all turning blind eyes, protecting themselves. One particularly brutal incident occurred during a defense against the dark arts lesson. As the class was practicing casting protective spells, I found myself paired with a pureblood student who made no effort to conceal his disdain for my presence. In a calculated move, he intentionally sabotaged our practice duel, casting spells meant to humiliate and belittle me in front of the entire class. The laughter and jeers that followed were like daggers to my pride, highlighting my vulnerability and isolation in a hostile environment. But the worst of the bullying came during a potions class, notorious for its volatile mix of ingredients and high stakes. While me and my partner were trying to make the potion, Marcus Lestrange, a member of a prominent pureblood family known for their allegiance to dark wizardry, saw an opportunity to be petty. With a malicious glint in his eyes, he deliberately sabotaged our potion, causing it to explode. I knew he was the one who did it, even if the teacher blamed us and took house points from us for such idiotic potion brewing. I would never make a mistake in potion, it was the field I felt genuinely talented in. The explosion not only drenched me in a noxious concoction that left my skin burning and discolored for days, but it also sent shockwaves of humiliation and shaming throughout the classroom. The laughter and mockery that followed were deafening, echoing in my ears long after the echoes of the explosion had faded. I wanted to retaliate, to stand up to my tormentors and demand justice, but their numbers held me back. The lingering effects of Voldemort's reign had left deep scars of trauma and distrust among the wizarding community, making it difficult to seek help or find allies willing to stand against the entrenched prejudice and discrimination. Those who genuinely adhered to the pureblood agenda were more than the pureblood. With the number of Muggle-born wizards lacking compared to pre-Voldemort era, I shudder to think of why there are so few of us in those last years. I genuinely hoped that they would rather transfer to the magical French school rather than anything else. Hope is food for the miserable and the thirsty. It was a harsh awakening to the harsh realities of the wizarding world, a reminder that even in the aftermath of a dark era, hatred and bigotry could still thrive in the hearts of those who saw themselves as superior. As the bullying intensified, I found myself turning to my fellow Hufflepuffs for support, hoping that our house's reputation for loyalty and kindness would extend to standing up against injustice. However, my attempts to seek help were met with disappointment and isolation. The senior students were preoccupied with preparing for their upcoming exams, their minds consumed by the pressure of academic success. They barely spared me a second glance, their focus squarely on their studies and future careers in the wizarding world. The juniors, on the other hand, seemed more concerned with establishing their own identities within the house, each absorbed in their own social circles and activities. Even my own dormitory mate, who I had hoped would be a source of camaraderie and support, began to avoid me. It was a stark realization that I was truly alone in facing the relentless torment of my bullies. The breaking point came during a particularly vicious attack, where I was hit with a bone-breaking curse that left me writhing in agony. The sudden violence of the spell alarmed the nearby teacher, who rushed to my aid and summoned the school nurse. But because I couldn't identify the perpetrator, the school was plunged into a tense and uneasy atmosphere for the following weeks. The incident had repercussions beyond just the physical pain. Other classmates, resentful of the disruption and the negative attention brought upon them by the teachers, began to distance themselves from me. I could feel the weight of their judgment and resentment, even though I was the victim of a cowardly attack. While the overt spell harassment ceased under the heightened vigilance of the teachers and staff, the verbal abuse and taunts only grew worse. The bullies, emboldened by the lack of consequences for their actions, found new ways to torment me, using words as their weapons of choice. I felt trapped in a cycle of fear and despair, unsure of who to trust or where to turn for help. The once welcoming halls of Hogwarts now felt suffocating. As the bullying at Hogwarts escalated, I knew I needed more than just determination to survive. I needed a way to protect myself, to hide in plain sight and diminish my presence to avoid becoming a constant target. The problem was, the spell I needed, the disillusionment spell, was a 6th year spell, far beyond my current capabilities. But waiting until 6th year was not an option. I didn't think I could survive even half a year under the constant threat of attacks and humiliation. My talent in potions was now well known among my peers, but my skills in charms and transfiguration were average at best. However, what I lacked in innate talent, I made up for with a will of steel and a relentless drive to work hard. I knew I had to find a way to learn the disillusionment spell, no matter the obstacles. One day, while fleeing from a group of bullies, I stumbled upon a conversation among senior students. They spoke in hushed tones about a secret room on the 8th floor of Hogwarts and how to summon it. It was like a stroke of luck, a glimmer of hope in the midst of adversity. Armed with this newfound knowledge, I scoured the Hogwarts library for any information on the disillusionment spell. It was a daunting task, sifting through dusty tomes and ancient scrolls, but my determination never wavered. Hours turned into days as I pored over every book on advanced charms and concealment magic, taking meticulous notes and practicing spells under my breath whenever I had a spare moment. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of research and practice, I found it, the incantation and wand movement for the disillusionment spell. With a mix of excitement and trepidation, I ventured to the secret room on the 8th floor, following the instructions I had overheard from the senior students. As I stood before the hidden entrance, my heart raced with anticipation. I spoke the intent in my heart and performed the movement required with precision, channeling all of my focus and determination into existence. And then, like a mirage, the room appeared before me, a sanctuary of secrecy and unlimited possibility. I wished for a secret place to train and hide, and here it was. My dormits were too cowardly, so after some nice words, and a promise to help them with potion essays, they promised to keep it shut about me not sleeping in the dorm room anymore. House of Loyalty, ha! Inside the secret room, I practiced the disillusionment spell relentlessly, pushing myself to the brink of exhaustion and fainting but refusing to give up. Sweat mingled with determination as I poured my heart and soul into mastering the spells, knowing that it was my ticket to survival in such a hostile environment. And finally, after countless hours and days of sweat, blood, and sheer determination, I cast the disillusionment spell successfully. I watched in amazement as my form blurred and faded from view, leaving behind only a faint shimmer of magic. It was a moment of triumph, a testament to the power of hard work and unwavering resolve. Armed with the disillusionment spell, I could finally move through Hogwarts unnoticed, avoiding the bullies and reclaiming a sense of control over my destiny. It was a small victory, but one that gave me hope and renewed determination to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Feeling more confident, I decided to learn the Notice Me Not skill. Even more lucky, I found old notes of an old senior in the middle of the book, and how you could use the spell to subtly fade from the attention, and then with disillusionment spell, fully disappear and hide. I can't think what pushed this senior to modify the spell this way, but I felt truly grateful for it. It's time for next phase of the plan. As I delved deeper into mastering the disillusionment spell and honing my magical skills in the secret room on the 8th floor, I knew that gaining prestige and respect among my peers was a crucial next step to make life better at Hogwarts. The school needed to change, and for that, I needed prestige and power. And the first step was to excel in all of my midterm exams, earning an E grade in each subject at the minimum. I poured myself into studying, sweating more blood than ever before as I devoured textbooks and practiced spells late into the night. I became a ghost in the hallways, avoiding eating in public and casting the Notice Me Not spell to make myself practically invisible to my bullies. Slowly but surely, they started to forget about me, finding other targets for their cruelty. Other students, too, lost interest in being angry at me. My disappearance from their radar left them with little to gossip about, and soon I became nothing more than a vague memory, a forgotten face in the sea of Hogwarts students. One night, as hunger gnawed at my stomach, I struck up a friendship with a house elf while seeking food. The kindness I showed them touched their hearts, and they offered to help me in return. They told me to call their name if I ever needed food or water in the middle of the night, and it would appear as if by magic. Grateful for their assistance, I used this newfound resource to hide more deeply and study even harder. While my classmates may have forgotten about me, my dorm mates couldn't help but notice my frequent disappearances. One of them, Eric in particular, became genuinely terrified of me, convinced that I was a great dark wizard in the making with my mysterious appearances and disappearances. Last week, he even refused the homework I promised to help him with, telling me there was no need for it anymore. What a weird guy. Me, as a dark wizard. Please, I'm the perfect Hufflepuff, hardworking and loyal. Nothing like those slimy snakes. With my newfound ability to move around Hogwarts unnoticed, I started observing my schoolmates more closely. Even the teachers seemed to be affected by my spell, with glimpses of suspicion or curiosity directed my way. I could swear that I caught the headmaster glowing eyes looking in my direction at one point, and Professor Snape almost caught me walking around one night, sending a shiver of fear down my spine. It seemed like I needed to work even harder to maintain my hidden status and continue my quest for prestige and respect among my peers. Being a Muggle-born and half-blood wizard in those times was no easy feat, especially when surrounded by peers who often viewed me with suspicion or prejudice. But I was determined to prove them wrong and carve out my place in the wizarding world, no matter the challenges I faced. I'm not a Mudblood, but a Muggle-born. No blood of mine is dirty, and I deserve to exist here. I deserve the beautiful gift of magic. I will show them that I'm not only better in magic, but even in values. I will carve my name in glory until the sign of it will make them tremble in awe. Anyway, midterm exams are done, and I know I will slay the whole thing. Seeing Professor Snape half smile to my potion making has been a surprise. And even Professor Flitwick complimented my charm spells. I can smell the O coming soon. Back to my schoolmates, the prejudice against Muggle-borns at Hogwarts was stark and undeniable. The teachers, although sympathetic, seemed overwhelmed and limited in their ability to address the deep-rooted biases that permeated the student body. The divide among half-bloods was equally apparent, with some aligning themselves with pureblood ideology and others vehemently opposing it. Within the houses, distinct patterns emerged. Slytherin housed students who were unabashedly blood supremacist, while Gryffindor was seen as a mix of blood traitors, half-bloods, and Muggle-borns, often targeted by the Slytherins, derogatory remarks and ire. Which honestly made it easier for me to hide. Go Griffey, I know you can beat those slimy snake. Ravenclaw's members were less concerned with blood purity and more focused on intellectual pursuits, although some exhibited Slytherin-like behavior in their quest for knowledge. Hufflepuff, on the other hand, was a chaotic mix, with senior students aware of the targeting of Muggle-borns in their house but feeling powerless to change the status quo. The senior students, especially those near graduation, seemed resigned to the societal norms dictated by pureblood control of the Ministry of Magic. They had been cowed into submission early on and had given up on challenging the established order, despite their awareness of the injustices faced by their peers. In such a volatile and prejudiced environment, it became clear that the cards were already stacked against Muggle-borns and those who opposed blood purity ideology. But rather than succumb to defeat or continue to navigate the treacherous waters of Hogwarts, it was tempting to consider flipping the whole table, disrupting the status quo and challenging the oppressive norms that governed the wizarding world. Who would play a game that's already doomed to fail? It's much better to just play a new one. I wonder how hard it would be to learn Polyjuice. It can't be that hard, right? It seems like obtaining the Polyjuice potion was no easy feat. The potion itself was notoriously difficult to brew, and acquiring the necessary ingredients and instructions required access to the restricted section of the Hogwarts library. This was a daunting task, as strict rules and regulations governed entry into that forbidden area. After much deliberation, I decided to approach a teacher who might be willing to sign a note granting me access to the restricted section. My best bet was the half-famous ex-or Mr. Burney, and frequently intoxicated defense against the dark arts teacher. Despite his somewhat unreliable nature, I managed to catch him in a particularly jovial mood and persuaded him to sign a note for me, disguised as an autograph. With how drunk he was, he didn't smell the ploy, especially with the subtle use of the Notice Me Not spell lowering my presence. With the note in hand, I ventured into the depths of the library's restricted section. Finding the book on Polyjuice Potion was a challenge in itself, hidden among countless other forbidden tomes and ancient scrolls. But after hours of searching and evading the watchful eyes of Madame Pants, the librarian, I finally located the elusive book. The formula and brewing instructions for the Polyjuice Potion were complex and extensive, requiring precision, patience, and a deep understanding of potion-making principles. It took me days to transcribe the formula accurately, ensuring that every step was recorded with meticulous detail. As I delved into the process of brewing the Polyjuice Potion, I realized that it would indeed be a time-consuming endeavor. The potion required several rare and difficult-to-obtain ingredients, each with its own set of challenges. Moreover, the brewing process itself was intricate and required careful monitoring and precise timing. Considering the time left in the school year and the impending end-of-year exams, I knew that meeting my goal of brewing the polyjuice potion would be a race against time. However, I remained determined and focused, confident that with enough dedication and effort, I could achieve my objective before the year's end. Now I just need to get the ingredients. Acquiring the ingredients for the polyjuice potion was not just a matter of finding them, it involved a delicate dance of stealth and cunning. One opportune moment presented itself when Professor Snape was preoccupied with punishing students caught bullying a group of Gryffindor first years. Taking advantage of his distraction, I discreetly slipped into his private stores, carefully selecting the rare and essential ingredients needed for the potion. The air in Snape's stores was thick with the scent of various magical ingredients, each vial and jar meticulously organized and labeled. I moved swiftly and quietly, my heart racing with the fear of being caught and the thrill of the forbidden. With practiced precision, I gathered the ingredients required for the polyjuice potion, making sure to leave no trace of my presence behind. As I left Snape's stores with my pilfered ingredients hidden safely in my bag, I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction mixed with apprehension. The risk of being caught and facing severe consequences was ever present, but the determination to brew the polyjuice potion and enact my plan to challenge the prejudices at Hogwarts spurred me forward. Back in the safety of my secret room on the 8th floor, I began the arduous process of brewing the potion. Each step was executed with precision and care, my mind focused on the task at hand despite the lingering anxiety of potential discovery. Days turned into weeks as I meticulously tended to the potion, stirring, adding ingredients, and monitoring its progress with unwavering dedication. With each passing day, the potion took shape, its transformative properties promising a means to infiltrate the ranks of those who perpetuated discrimination and prejudice. As the end-of-year exams loomed closer, I worked tirelessly, fueled by a burning desire to flip the tables and challenge the status quo at Hogwarts. I will drag those losers from their arrogant throne, and make them regret being so obvious to their distaste to anything not pure blood. Or die trying. The hat was wrong, I'm totally Gryffindor material. After a daring escape from Mrs. Norris and Filch, I found myself face to face with Bill Weasley, a talented first-year Gryffindor student. His gratitude for my help in evading the caretaker and his cat was palpable as he introduced himself, and I reciprocated in kind. Bill Weasley, with his pure blood status and reputation as a blood traitor in certain circles, was a key piece in my plan to challenge the prevailing prejudices at Hogwarts. As we exchanged pleasantries, Bill's expression turned somber when he realized that I had been the target of bullying earlier in the year, a situation he regretted not intervening in. This guilt, stemming from his house values and personal integrity, was exactly what I needed to leverage in my favor. A pure-blood wizard feeling remorseful toward a muggle born. It was a narrative I intended to exploit to its fullest. Playing it cool, I struck up a friendship with Bill, showcasing my talents in evading detection and impressing him with my resourcefulness. It wasn't long before I broached the topic of an adventure, a risky proposition that could either solidify our alliance or unravel everything. To my delight, Bill's grin was infectious as he accepted my offer, eager for a taste of excitement and rebellion. Leading him to my hidden room on the 8th floor, I watched with pride as his awe and curiosity grew with each revelation of the space. However, Bill was no fool. He questioned why I had chosen to reveal my secret to him and expressed concern about the potential consequences of his newfound knowledge. In response, I assured him of my trust in his integrity and appealed to his sense of justice and desire for change within the school. His interest piqued, I knew I had him hooked. Bill Weasley, with his courage, skills, and determination, would be a valuable ally in my mission to challenge the prejudices and discrimination that plagued Hogwarts. Courage is a complex blend of qualities that Gryffindors embody. It's not just about being fearless, it's about being selfless, resilient, and unafraid to confront challenges head-on. From my observation of typical Gryffindors, they have a unique way of approaching courage. They love the adrenaline rush of taking risks and diving into the unknown, fueled by their daring spirit and willingness to face danger. For Gryffindors, courage means being selfless, ready to put others' needs before their own and act for the greater good, even if it means personal sacrifice. It's about having the inner strength to make tough decisions and the resilience to bounce back from setbacks. Courage also involves being ruthless to one's own being when necessary. This doesn't mean being reckless, but rather having the determination and conviction to do what is right, even if it comes at a personal cost. Gryffindors are known for their boldness and conviction in standing up for what they believe in. Facing danger without backing down is another aspect of Gryffindor courage. They thrive on challenges and are unafraid to confront obstacles, showing bravery in their actions and decisions. Gryffindors are willing to step out of their comfort zones, take risks, and push boundaries to achieve their goals. Even acts that may seem like betrayal can require courage. It doesn't mean that Gryffindor are saint, but the quality of courage is mostly associated to altruistic acts in general. Being courageous for the sake of interest is also a form of courage, but courage for interest is ambition overlapping with desire, which would probably infect the genuine essence of courage. In essence, I can easily end it with Gryffindors being adrenaline junkies in the best sense. They crave excitement and adventure, driven by their courage and daring spirit to make a difference and change in the world around them. A pure Slytherin would want to rule the world, while changing it. A pure Ravenclaw would love to study the effect of the world changing. A pure Hufflepuff would work hard so that his comrades are able to realize the world they want to make. While a pure Gryffindor would probably set the fire of revolution and enjoy the thrill of danger. With our combined efforts, we could flip the tables and create a more inclusive and just environment for all students, regardless of their blood status or background. My pure work ethics and those lions' adrenaline junkies. Perfect. As the school year progressed, I found myself excelling in my studies, achieving top grades in most exams and even earning outstanding O marks in certain subjects. These accomplishments didn't go unnoticed by my teachers or fellow students, marking pivotal moments where my talents and skills shone brightly. In each test, whether it was in potions, charms, or transfiguration, I consistently outperformed many of my pure-blooded peers, much to their chagrin and loathing. The surprise on the faces of my classmates was palpable as they realized that a Muggle-born student could surpass them academically. The recognition from teachers came in the form of praise for my dedication, hard work, and exceptional understanding of magical theory and application. Professor Flitwick, impressed by my prowess in charms, commended my precise wand movements and innovative spellcasting techniques. Professor McGonagall, known for her strict standards, acknowledged my exceptional grasp of transfiguration theory and practical skills, earning me high praise and encouragement to continue pushing my limits. And lot of house points. As my academic achievements gained traction, so did the respect and admiration from my peers. Slowly but surely, I was being viewed as an unexpected underdog turning into a formidable presence at Hogwarts for the year. Classmates who once overlooked me or underestimated my abilities now sought my assistance and guidance in their studies. The shift in perception was evident during interactions in the common room and during classes. I was no longer just the Muggle-born student, I was someone whose opinion mattered, whose achievements inspired others. Even those who initially harbored prejudice or skepticism towards me couldn't deny the undeniable talent and dedication I brought to the table. Through hard work, determination, and a relentless pursuit of knowledge and mastery, I rose to prominence as a talented trustee of Hogwarts, earning the respect and admiration of both teachers and fellow students alike. But not all were happy for me. The tension went palpable as I caught sight of the red-faced Slytherin students, a sure sign that trouble was brewing. Such an humiliation for them, for a Muggle-born to leave them to dust. Knowing that confrontation was imminent, I quickly made my escape after the shared class with the Slytherins, only to find myself pursued by 5 snakes from the opposing house. Thinking on my feet, I led them to the herbology classroom where I knew the Gryffindor students had just finished their lesson. With a swift turn at the corner, I vanished using the invisibility charm, taking cover and preparing for what was about to unfold. From my hidden vantage point, I watched as the Slytherins confronted the Gryffindors, their tempers flaring and wands raised. Sensing the tension rising, I cast a jinx towards the wall behind the lions, making them trigger happy and setting off a chain reaction of spells from both sides, turning the corridors into a chaotic battlefield. The Gryffindors, with their reckless bravery, fiercely defended themselves, and soon the Slytherins found themselves on the losing end of the skirmish. Amidst the flurry of spells, Bill Weasley spotted me and joined in the fray, adding to the Gryffindors' firepower. Truly a battle worthy of legends, full of legs-locking and tongue-twisting jinxes and hexes. Professor Snape would have loved to see his little basilisk being such great warriors. I'm being sarcastic obviously. One particularly memorable moment was when Bill cast a slug-vomiting spell at Lestrange, a sight that would stay with me forever. The laughter and cheers of the students echoed through the corridors as the Lestrange boy succumbed to the humiliating effects of the spell. Seizing the opportunity amidst the chaos, I discreetly approached Lestrange, using a notice me not charm to go unnoticed. With a swift motion, I stepped on his wand, breaking it while he was distracted by his unfortunate predicament. The aftermath of the skirmish resulted in point deductions for both houses involved, a consequence of the unauthorized duel that had taken place. Despite the loss of points, the Gryffindors reveled in their victory, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction at having turned the tables on the Slytherins, albeit through unconventional means. I obviously didn't lose any point, only Bill saw me, and he was fine with me hiding, already aware of the plan to provoke the Slytherin students. Obviously it wasn't for free, as I promised to brew some pimple-boiling potion for Bill to sell for pocket money to senior students. Bill, I didn't expect you to be so sly. Never mind. Such high-quality thugs are worth all the effort. As May arrived and the final exams drew near, I found myself in possession of 3 crucial hairs from key targets within Slytherin House: the Lestrange boy, Senior Avery Jerome of the 6th year, and Goodwine Jerry of the 7th year. These selections were not random. They were strategic choices based on the intricate dynamics and power struggles within Slytherin House. Avery Jerome and Goodwine Jerry had a long-standing rivalry fueled by their ambitions for Slytherin supremacy. Their feud had brewed animosity and bad blood over the years, making them prime targets for my plan. It took some cunning negotiation, including offering my notes on the Polyjuice potion, to extract this information from Rosa Laetitia, a 4th-year Ravenclaw known for her greed and loose lips. The Lestrange boy, on the other hand, harbored grand aspirations of becoming the Slytherin king, like Bellatrix Lestrange, a notorious and feared figure even among Slytherin's juniors. His brazen actions and thirst for authority had ruffled feathers and earned him enemies, particularly among pure-blood families with influence in the Ministry of Magic, such as Avery and Goodwine's families. It seems like he had multiple conflicts with the 3rd-year Gregor Knott. Goodwine's father's proximity to the new minister's secretary, a certain Fudge, gave him direct access to the ears of the current Minister of Magic, which is already causing the ire of the Avery family, burned out and already losing political clout after Voldemort's death. By targeting these 3 individuals, each with their own ambitions, alliances, and enemies, I aim to disrupt the established order within Slytherin and potentially gain valuable insights and information that could be used in the future. With the Polyjuice potion ready and my plan in motion, I prepared to take a bold step towards confronting the entrenched power structures and fostering change within Hogwarts and beyond. Some would ask, what would be the point? Aren't they kids? That would be underestimating the pure blood culture's greed for honor and traditions. How many blood feuds started because of childish interaction in Hogwarts can't be counted in 1,000 of hands over the last millennia of Hogwarts history. And the intricate dynamics of blood feuds and power struggles among young witches and wizards were not to be underestimated, especially in the aftermath of the Dark Lord's disappearance. With a power vacuum left in his wake, rivalries and animosities could escalate rapidly, leading to proxy political wars and clandestine maneuvers. The selection of Avery Jerome, Goodwine Jerry, and the Lestrange boy as targets for the Polyjuice potion was not just about their current status as students but also a strategic move to exploit the potential for discord and conflict within Slytherin House and beyond. Avery and Goodwine's long-standing rivalry, fueled by ambitions for Slytherin supremacy, had the potential to escalate into a full-blown feud, especially with their ties to influential pure-blood families and connections within the ministry. The prospect of proxy political wars and power struggles through their retainers was a real possibility, as they vied for dominance and control over each other's. The Lestrange boy's aspirations to follow in the footsteps of Bellatrix Lestrange added another layer of complexity. His bold actions and gathering of authority had already stirred tensions and resentment among his peers, making him a volatile player in the power game within Slytherin. While his authority took a hit after last-time humiliation, just his name alone could gather respect in the Slytherin House. By manipulating these rivalries and exploiting the power vacuum, I hope to sow discord and keep them at each other's throats for years to come. Proxy political wars, fueled by ambition, revenge, and the thirst for power, could distract them from perpetuating prejudices and discrimination, allowing for the potential for change and progress within the wizarding world. May they all burn each other. As I cautiously approached Bill Weasley with the hair of the Lestrange boy, explaining my plan and the importance of waiting for my signal before taking action. His task was crucial in sowing discord between Avery Jerome and Goodwine Jerry, two key players in Slytherin House's power dynamics. Bill's role was to plant fake gossip that would stoke the flames of animosity between Avery and Goodwine. Using the Lestrange boy's hair, Bill would masquerade as a reliable source and inform Goodwine Jerry about a fabricated comment from Avery Jerome, alleging that Goodwine's mother was a dirty mudblood, and thus kept away from high society gatherings. This inflammatory piece of misinformation was designed to provoke Goodwine and escalate tensions between the two rivals. Meanwhile, I prepared to use the polyjuice potion with Goodwine Jerry's hair to assume his form. In this guise, I would approach Josie Dolores, a trusted confidant of Avery Jerome, and spin a false tale about Avery's lineage. I would claim that Avery's father had produced a squib in a previous generation, suggesting mediocre magical abilities and hinting at impure bloodlines, which could explain why there was only one young Avery of notable talent in their family. These carefully crafted deceptions aimed to exploit existing tensions, sow seeds of doubt and discord, and ultimately pit Avery and Goodwine against each other in a bitter feud. By leveraging their vulnerabilities, insecurities, and pride, I hoped to keep them distracted and focused on internal conflicts until they explode. It was hard to believe that our plan had worked so smoothly, just days before the exams. Avery's previous attempts at similar tactics had laid the groundwork, making Goodwine Jerry more susceptible to the fabricated gossip. With Lestrange incapacitated and confused, we executed our plan with precision. Using Lestrange's wand, I created chaos by casting a cutting spell in Knott's room and then discreetly exiting, ensuring that others witnessed my departure. The expectation was that Professor Snape would investigate Lestrange's last used spell, a trick I had learned from Bill's knowledge. The aftermath was like a full-scale Ragnarok within Slytherin House. The chaos and frenzy that ensued left Professor Snape visibly furious, a sight that sent chills down our spines. Yet, despite the risk and the potential consequences, there was an undeniable sense of satisfaction in seeing our plan come to fruition. Bill was exhilarated by the rush of our actions, though he couldn't share the details with others. He mentioned how unsung heroes are often cooler anyway. As the end-of-year exams concluded amidst the chaos and turmoil within Slytherin House, a significant shift occurred. The rampant bullying perpetrated by Slytherin purebloods resulted in severe punishments, with Lestrange receiving a suspension and rumors swirling about his transfer to Durmstrang Academy the following year. The conflict between Avery and Goodwine spiraled out of control, escalating into a monumental feud with threats of a blood feud if either party refused to apologize and save face. This clash drew in the retainers of both families, leading to injuries from dark magic and curses that caught the attention of Aurors, who feared the reformation of Death Eater activities. Dumbledore took swift and decisive action, exerting his authority to quell the feud and discipline both families harshly. The repercussions were so severe that it was expected for them to keep a low profile for years to come, avoiding any further scandals or conflicts. The disgrace and shame brought upon Slytherin House, known as the Slytherin Shame, prompted the school board to reassess the situation and take action against supremacist elements within the house. With Dumbledore's stern gaze and influence, the board members quickly bowed to pressure, leading to a restructuring that saw Muggle-born friendly families taking prominent positions. Amidst the tumultuous events, I couldn't shake off a nightly visit that served as a stark reminder of the consequences of my actions. It became apparent that my fortunate encounters were not merely coincidences but orchestrated surveillance under the keen eye of the headmaster. Despite the unnerving visit, I found solace and contentment in achieving my goals. Bill shared in my happiness, and even the headmaster seemed pleased with the outcomes. While I lamented not being able to exploit the situation further, particularly the fact that there are still pureblood supremacists in the Snake Den, I recognized that life had become significantly easier and more welcoming for Muggle-born students at Hogwarts. Now I can fully focus on the Hufflepuff house, using a gentler method this time. I have no desire to see the headmaster visit me at night again. It's just a shame I couldn't milk those Lions thugs even more. They make life much easier. It also seemed that I'm famous as the ghost of the Hufflepuff. I wonder why. Bill loved to call me the snake in a puff skin. What a crazy guy. I'd look much better in red than in green. The end.